Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Hope you guys are doing wonderfully well. I think the first thing that we've got to talk about is what a result. What a result for Rangers. They've got to be delighted. The work that Mick Beale has done at Rangers is some special stuff, am I right? I mean, come 1-0. Sheffield United, top of the league. So, I think that's pretty good. So, congratulations to all the Rangers fans out there tonight. It's a joke. Sorry, Glasgow Rangers fan. The boys are doing well. So that is what it is. Liverpool have won this game, of course, as well. I was watching both at the same time. I'm fascinated to hear what you guys have got to say. And actually, I want to do something different. I've got some really interesting bits and pieces. So, and you guys in the chat, this is the reason why you got to subscribe and you got to hit the notification bell, because I want you to get involved right now. I'm gonna let you guys put forward your thoughts, emotions, and man of the match and all sorts of things. Let's get straight into it with this bad boy. Here we go. First and foremost, we can talk about the 4-2-4 or the 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it. But let's say this new formation, vote 1 for yes or vote 2 for no. Is this the future for Liverpool? Is this how they should move forward? I want you guys to be involved as much as possible. Whilst you're there, of course, hit the like button as well, because I think the first thing I would say, and we'll come back to this one, so get voting now and we'll have a little look. Actually, we can do it whilst I'm here, just to get started. And I'm going to be asking you all sorts. So especially Liverpool fans, I want you to get absolutely ready to see what is going on. No one, that's amazing, the amount of people that are saying it's not, that it is the future. It's really interesting. Or is it totally working right now? Let's see. Let me reset it again. Vote. So 1 or 2, right? Seems like only one seems to be working at this moment in time. That's a shame. Don't know why that's how it occurred. All right, let's forget that one. Let's try something different, because I'm going to get your questions in here as well at some point. Let's talk about top talking points then. Let's try this one. So put forward the words and thoughts in terms of the things that you want me to talk about, the things that from this game, what's the most important thing? We're going to get a lot of 1s and 2s now, aren't you? Love you, Jim. Stop that. Right, we start again. Talk about the game. I want to see what you've got here. It's about Nunes. I think we should talk about Nunes. Trent, of course. I think quite a few of you guys are going to be doing that as well. Wanting to talk about Trent. I want to talk about Henderson. I think he was absolutely integral in this game. Got to talk about Rangers as well. This is interesting. How are you feeling right now as well as a Liverpool fan? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you optimistic now? Have you gone up in your estimations? I'm intrigued to know what you've got to say here. Seems like Trent is the big talking point at this moment in time. Nunes being great, and people, of course, saying you need to like the stream. I'm gonna get your questions as well, but I'll just leave that there, and we'll come back to that. So get your sort of emotions, thoughts, and feelings in there, and we'll have a look at some of them. And in the meantime, we'll talk about this game, right? So I think the thing that I think this could be the future. What I would say is that there are a few questions that would need to be answered. And I think actually the 4-3-3 is still available to Liverpool and not something they should totally go against. As you could see there, Nunes and Trent are two big talking points here. Let's start off with Nunes, because I think him and Jota in this game were really interesting, because you can see from their heat maps here. And look, I'm going to talk about Liverpool quite a lot in this one, because Rangers, to be honest, it just didn't offer much at all. It felt like the occasion got to them a little bit. I think also the counter-pressing from Liverpool was pretty special. I can show you here from the stats. And in particular, I thought the first half was just suffocating for Rangers in this game. And you can see that by the amount of clearances, 19 clearances right at the bottom there, to the 1 clearance for Liverpool. Over the entirety of the game, 30 clearances to 2. Shows how dominant Liverpool were in this game. And it was because it was about bodies, right? It was about options. It was about flooding people forward. I think that was the really big thing here. Oh, we're getting some really cool stuff now. This is wicked. So, Bobby versus Nunes. Yeah, that's interesting. Sandwich, crucial. Nunes' movement. Let's talk about that. I love this. This is great. I knew this would work. So, what I think is really interesting, I'll show you some of the heat maps here, because first of all, look, average positions again, completely dominant in the opposition's half. And I think that's why it's things like talking about Trent and, just listening to BT Sport there going really heavy on the fact that, the redemption arc of Trent. Look, we know he can take free kicks. there were no questions posed against him in this game, and I think it's one of those where it's not, obviously he's not crap, and obviously there are some cracks in there, right? But he is one hell of a player, and we'll show you his passing stats as well. Rangers super deep in terms of how they were playing, couldn't get out. The two midfielders in Stephen Davies and Lundstrom of course give away the penalty. They were so bad. They were so bad. In my opinion. And the only bright spark for me was Ryan Kent, actually. Who, actually, if I go over here, I thought this, especially in the first half. In the second half, he dropped off a little bit, but in terms of dribbles, this was actually 6. He'd had 6 dribbles in the first half and completed 4 of them. And at that moment in time, literally not a single other player on the pitch had completed a dribble. Because the way that Liverpool were playing was just so it was so direct, actually. It really was. Let me show you those heat maps, like I was talking about. We'll talk about Nunez's movement, because what you can see here, what I thought was really interesting, was that Darwin Núñez, you can see how he was everywhere, but importantly, stretching the channels all the time. And that is a real weapon for them. And that's why I would say that this 4-2-3-1, it's not completely dead just yet. Because I think you can have him sometimes because I feel like once Mane's gone, we've got Diaz on that left-hand side, who I think deep down, I think he wants to sort of come backwards, come inside. He doesn't want to drive the way that Mane does. So what I like about this 4-2-4 or 4-2-3-1 is that it gives you the option of having bodies, but also players that can stretch the game. What's interesting here is, if you remember Darwin Núñez and his role, Jota's role I thought was really interesting, because he was so awkward, but just sort of standing in different positions a lot of the time. You can see here that just little pinpoints, awkward areas in between that back three and the midfield, which was pretty non-existent, I've got to be honest, for Liverpool in this game. But Jota coming back, I thought was really interesting. He's one that I'd love to know how you guys feel about him as well, actually. I don't know if we can do that for this. Maybe we just I'll reset. Actually, I won't reset it, because I think it's cool. It's interesting to see what were the big talking points from the game. Buffet. That's hilarious. I think Jota was actually quite a big part of this, because I think he's awkward, but I also think he's very frustrating sometimes in terms of his hold-up play. And so as much as there was one here we were seeing where it was Núñez versus Firmino, I actually think it's Núñez versus Jota if you're going to play this 4-2-4, this 4-2-3-1, because I think Núñez on his own, he's going to drive past. And what I liked, you can see it with, say, Diaz. Diaz naturally, again, all over the pitch, wants to cut back. He's not desperate to get to the byline. Whereas I would imagine Salah, he's just that little bit more direct and wants to get himself into the box. And what happens if you've got Núñez and Jota, who are players who are quite complete and also poachers who want to score goals, I think you're in a good place there, because the more bodies you've got there, it also lends well to someone like Trent, who can get on the ball and just and find those players. I think when you play 4-3-3, I think you're losing a little bit. The concern will be against teams where, I was wondering, that midfield two of Lundstrom and Stephen Davies, they were just struggling so badly. It felt like Ryan Kent almost wanted to take out one of those back three, which I know feels like suicide, but it's one where in the Champions League it's obviously not worked for them really. In the league they normally play 4 at the back, Rangers, and having Ryan Kent in a more central area could have been dangerous in terms of the counter presses, but overall I think he would have been able to get on the ball and dribble out of trouble for a team that, in those two midfielders, they seemed very lost to me, if I'm honest. Let's go back to that. Salah. Let's talk Salah, because I feel like the conviction's still not there with Salah. I've got to say. The conviction's not there. Something's not totally right, and I don't know if that's due to the sort of fluency of everyone else or what, because the pressing was back today, but the bottom line was this was the perfect game. Champions League night, the team's going to be up for it. You've got an inferior opponent, in my opinion. You guys wanted this goal line clearance from Tsimikas. Yeah, that was pretty special. They kind of switched off, didn't you, in the last couple of minutes? And what's his name? Cholak looked quite good. A couple of the substitutions for Rangers were pretty impressive, I've got to be honest. Fashion Sakala as well. I quite liked him. And Matondo as well when he came on. I want to talk about Henderson as well, because I thought Henderson was really, really important in this game. Because what he did, and he won't probably get the credit for it, is he played these balls over the top because he knew Nunez was going to go. And on his long passes, long balls, 5 of them were accurate out of his 6. And I think the thing to remember with this is the fact that those weren't just sprayed passes. They were really impressive little dinks over into that back line. And I think in terms of my notes and what I was writing down, getting in behind early the opposition and kind of bypassing that midfield a lot of the time, that's what really, really worked. And I'd be intrigued to know if that would continue to work against a better opponent. And so that's why I think it's still up for grabs in terms of that 4-2-3-1 and if it could truly work. And I wonder if there might be games where Firmino could be that little bit more involved. But also when you think of that counter-pressing, in terms of coming back from sort of the blind side of the opposition, if the intensity is there, then I think it's something that could be useful. But there will be concerns when you've got Henderson and Thiago Alcantara defensively, if you can get an opposition player into those type areas of space. Now, it is the central areas which Liverpool are so good when it comes to that counter press. But I still think there's some questions here. I do. Key passes, that was the thing I was going to say about Jota. It's interesting, like Jota, like 77% pass accuracy is so, and there were some moments, weren't there? There were some really horrible touches. But you know, he reads the game really, really well, really, really well. And I thought he was great. Alan McGregor, actually, we've got to give him a shout out for Rangers. He made some unbelievable saves. Let's go back to Stream Live because I'm intrigued to see how you feel about this. Let's see what else we've got here. So, Trent, we've spoken about. Salah, we've spoken about. Tsimikas, yeah, look, it was a great goal line clearance. I think he was okay going forward. But again, Rangers were so poor with the ball that kind of, again, I think it was the perfect game at the perfect time. Let's end this one. Man of the match. Let's talk man of the match. And I've also got, if you want to put some questions in, I think they should be in there. So we'll have a look at through these. So this is really cool, right, as well. So next time we're doing a live stream, if you know that I'm doing this and using this software, get your questions in and we can run through them at the end of it all. So I'll come back to that. Man of the match. Let's talk man of the match. Put forward your options now. Remember, you've only got one answer, okay? So go for it now. I'm intrigued to see who you guys would put forward. I've got to be honest, I think for effectiveness, I felt like, and maybe you know what I'm like, I always see Trent's long balls were very, very impressive. Let's have a look at that. Because he won 5 of his 7 ground duels. Where is his long passing? Which we know his long passing is great. 6 of his 9. I would give it to Henderson, but I know I do that often. So maybe I'm wrong with this, right? Who knows? I'm hoping this is going to come through. Not coming through just yet, but fingers crossed it will. There's no one going through right now, but you guys are saying on there, so we can always have a look at it. See, this is the testing for it all. I was hoping it was all going to come through. Maybe if I reset, it might work this time around. Yeah, if you can write down your options there, and then we'll answer some of these questions at the end of it all. Henderson, Trent, McGregor. Yeah, do you know what, McGregor? I think you might be able to chuck him in there. Thiago had moments. Wasn't completely like blown away from Morelos, says Darren Duncan. Let's have a look at that briefly. And this one doesn't seem to have worked. That's a shame. 4-2. Let me just see if this one works again. You guys, all right, you're going to give options again. Forget it. Some of these bits are not going to work. Let's go to our quick questions because this is quite cool. You guys seem to have gone with, yeah, McGregor, I think, is a good shout, to be fair. I would give it to McGregor, actually, because he kept him in it. How do we feel about Darwin Núñez and his inability to take his chances? I'm intrigued how you feel about that. Is that just simply a confidence thing? Because he did have some good moments, didn't he? And yes, those shots are on target, but it just made me think of, I remember Michael Owen always going, people get annoyed when you're going, oh, hit the target. Yeah, but if you hit the target in the middle of the goal, then the goalkeeper's going to save it all the time, right? And that is what it felt like. Now, is it one of those where, look, he just needs to get that first goal, that second goal, and then he's going to start firing? Maybe, but I expected a bit better because he got into some good moments. And, if we took, like McGregor, you're talking about how great he's been, and the saves, 7 saves from inside the box. I think a good few of those were from Darwin Núñez. So I would say that's still a concern, but I think he just needs that first goal. And again, if you've got Henderson playing those quick balls, I think also I'm intrigued if you're worried about the fitness of Henderson and Thiago and Fabinho, what this does is it allows you to rotate those players and allow Fabinho to be in there. Phil Boggart, that's interesting. I think Núñez's mental health is genuinely at risk. Explain that to me. I mean, he's a striker. I'm sure he's fine. Well, you don't know, do you? Obviously, you don't know, but I'm intrigued. I'm amazed that you've said that. Just have a quick look once again that QPR are absolutely flying. Just want to get that out there. And if we have a look at the table here, up to 4th, which I think that's quite good, isn't it? And Sheffield United, who were top, we beat them away from home. That seems quite good to me. Let's go to these questions. So, will Liverpool be playing in the Champions League next season? Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, they will. Yeah, of course they will. Write that off. Bye. Liverpool were kind of cold with it, but were they cold enough? Yeah, it's an odd game. I don't think today's not the answer, right? But I think it's a step in the right direction and almost a great starting point, great game, great environment for Liverpool to start to get themselves going. And Klopp can go, that first half, that's what we need to be doing. That's the level that we need to be looking at when it comes to that counter press. Because if you are going to throw all those bodies forward, those 4 bodies need to work back really, really hard for the team. Otherwise, you're going to be in massive, massive trouble. Did you see Trent get done when they switched back to 4-3-3? Yes, I did. I saw that because he was a lot more narrower then, wasn't he? And he was on his way back, and then there was sort of that pass. In terms of getting done, I think I get what you're saying, but again, it's a system thing, and it always makes Trent look bad. If he just sat there like Gary Neville used to, then it would be different, right? But maybe that's why you have to sort of tweak it up, because you have that sort of box then of Henderson, Thiago, and those players as well, in terms of those sort of safety players who you can give the ball, but also those players who can go and help apply the counter press. I think that's going to be a big part in this. But also Henderson constantly just sort of shifting along to cover for Trent is obviously a big part of all of this. I love the UCL because JLo makes videos of the games. Well, there you go, mate. Appreciate that. Can you explore the idea of 3-4-3 or 5-2-3 for Liverpool? Who's your 3 centre backs? That feels like a waste of bodies, in my opinion. It's interesting. I would say that doesn't work for me. I think it's about the tenacity of the press a lot of the time, and that's where Brent will get in trouble in terms of that spacing behind him. But it's the same thing that you would look to do last season. We did a video talking about how would you stop Man City or Liverpool, and it was the same thing, right? For both of them, it was Cancelo's going to be really high up, so can you get in behind him? Trent's going to be really high up, so can you get in behind him? So it's a similar thing. I would just like to see Trent stay wider, personally. And I think when you have, what I do like about this system is that it keeps Trent wider. And if he is going to get involved in a narrow area, it's high up the pitch. And so that's the nice thing about this one. Thoughts on Núñez's potential? This is what I said. I said this as soon as he signed. I said the fact that Haaland is there, has been signed at the same time, is going to make life very, very difficult for him, because he will always be compared to that. A bit like Maguire and Van Dijk. So when we're talking about his potential, I think he's got great potential. And I think that, the sending offs hurt him. And there was actually a moment again where he did kind of get annoyed. And you do wonder about that, because teams will target him for sure. But I think he needs to get that first one. I think he'll still do well. And I think he offers a lot in terms of running those channels and working for the team as well. Can Liverpool continue with this run? Of course they can, but of course they've got massive game against Arsenal at the weekend. That's going to be a real test. And I think I'm going to do a preview on it. And it's funny because I was saying Liverpool should go 4-2-4. So you're welcome, Kloppy Woppy. Salah out wide. Not really a question. Is Rangers a good opponent to judge 43? Well, yeah, I don't think it is. I think that's a really good point. I don't think it is. But I think it's a good place to practice it. It's not a good place to judge it, but it's a good place to practice it. Good question. Salah out wide twice. Where is Paul Pogba in all this? I don't get it. Salah's future. I think, yeah, we said this, didn't we, when I was chatting with Rory? Has he been Aubameyang'd? That's the concern, isn't it? I think he'll be fine, but as I said, that conviction doesn't totally seem to be there. Whereas previously, I think he was when you're sort of fighting for your contract, I think you're not what you really put sort of failure or fear to the side because you can see something that you want. Now he's in a space mentally, I think, where he has that contract and he's here and he's safe and he's secure, and I think that's making life a little bit difficult. Also, for the back three, you're saying Konate, Virgil van Dijk, and JaackMaate. Ooh, I don't hate it because I guess you've got a lot of pace out wide then. So you're saying like a 3. Okay, so maybe a 3-4-3 where you play that 3, Trent, Robertson, 2 midfielders like we saw today, and then a 3 ahead of it. This is the thing I would say is that I think you still need those runners. So that front 3, maybe it becomes Luis Diaz, Nunez, and Salah. I guess you've got 2 runners there, and Diaz can come in and get involved and get the ball off Trent, and Robertson can overlap. Yeah, why not? Why not? I think the important thing to finish on, though, is Queen's Park Rangers. I mean, come on. Yeah, am I right? Right, guys. Let me know what you thought about. Obviously, some of these bits didn't work, but some of them worked. Right? Did you like this? Did you like the quick? I think the quick questions worked, didn't they? Top talking points. That was good, wasn't it? Can't bring it back now. Look at the old ones. But I need to get my polls right. And look, that's not even bloody working now. There are problems. But the quick questions was good, right? Let me know. Guys, you are a part of this. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make you a bigger part of this. So stick around, stay close, hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Get yourself involved, hit the like button, and enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, or day, or whenever you're watching this. Thanks again. Congratulations to